Living abroad is a fascinating thing. But living abroad while being from a country that most people don't know much about is next level interesting. So, hi, I'm from Kazakhstan and I've been living in Spain for more than 10 years. And during this time, I've gotten all kinds of funny, curious, and genuinely interesting questions about my home country. In this video, I'm going to share some of the most typical questions that Spanish people ask me about Kazakhstan, and of course, I'm going to answer them. So be ready to have some fun and learn a few geography facts along the way. And because some of you are here to learn Spanish, I'm actually going to say those questions the way they're usually asked, in Spanish. Let's go. So why do people even ask me so many questions about Kazakhstan? Kazakhstan is the 9th largest country in the world in terms of territory, but it's not particularly famous, at least not in the way that France or Japan are famous, for example. Maybe because we were part of the Soviet Union until 1991, until it ceased to exist. And a lot of people, especially older generations, didn't really learn about Kazakhstan until it became an independent country. They just learned about the USSR as one big bloc. And also, Kazakhstan is not a very exported nation. While there may be former Kazakhstan citizens in the neighboring countries such as Russia, when it comes to Spain, Spain isn't really on top of people's mind when it comes to immigration. In fact, according to the internet resources, there are only about 1,000 of Kazakhstanis living in Spain. So naturally, when people meet me, they're very curious and they want to know more. Here comes the first question. ¿Cómo se dice o cómo se pronuncia el nombre de tu país? How do you say the name of your country? In Spanish, it's Kazajistán, with that lovely Spanish j like in jamón. According to the Real Academia Española, it's Kazajistán, not Kazakhstan, not Kazakistan, and please, not Kakistan. I've heard that one a lot. But honestly, don't worry about it too much. I've heard it all. And I mean, it's great if you know how to pronounce it correctly, but the fact that people are curious and they're asking already makes me happy. Sometimes people get even more curious and ask me, how do you say that in the local languages? And that would be in Kazakh, Kazakhstan, and in Russian, Kazakhstan. And in Spanish, Kazakistan. And let me tell you one thing, whenever I get a question about Kazakhstan, I usually get very happy because that means that people are curious, they want to learn about it. There's no such thing as a stupid question, almost ever. If the question comes from a good place with positive intent and genuine curiosity, no matter how obvious I think the answer is, I'm always happy to answer those questions and be the ambassador of my home country. Question number 2. ¿Kazajistán está en Rusia? Is Kazakhstan in Russia? Honestly, a very understandable question. Russia has a few republics that end in stan: Tatarstan, Dagestan, Bashkortostan. But no, Kazakhstan is an independent country since 1991, when the Soviet Union ceased to exist. Kazakhstan is not a Russian region, it's a fully independent nation. So where is it? It's between Russia, China, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, and the Caspian Sea. Also, fun fact, Kazakhstan is the largest landlocked country in the world. It has no direct access to the open ocean, which is what defines a landlocked country. It's honestly pretty big. Oh, and just a really quick note here, something that I've noticed recently. Over the 10 years that I've been living in Spain, the frequency of this question has been steadily going down. And I would say in the last couple of years, I almost never get asked if Kazakhstan is part of Russia. Back in the days 10 years ago, that was probably one of the most popular questions that people asked me. But now the situation has changed, be it because Kazakhstan has been making a name for itself or because that's how people learn about it now, as I explained before, as an independent country, not as a part of a bigger bloc. Whatever it is, I thought I'd share this interesting observation with you. Are you liking this video so far? If so, make sure to subscribe to this channel because on it I speak a lot about Spain, life in Spain, and the non-textbook Spanish. But not only that, I often cover these interesting cultural differences and curiosities that I've learned while living in a number of different countries and traveling to even more. So there's a lot that I have to share, and I would love to share it with you. For example, I've also lived in the United States and Germany. So if you want a US or German edition of this video, make sure to let me know in the comments and I'll try to make it happen. Question number 3. ¿La gente en Kazajistán es como tú? Or even better, conozco a una persona de Kazajistán, pero no es exactamente como tú. Parece asiática, ¿sabes? Y tú pareces europea. Again, a totally valid question. Kazakhstan is super ethnically diverse. There are about 130 different ethnicities living on the territory of Kazakhstan. Some quick stats. Ethnic Kazakhs, about 70% of the population, typically Central Asian features. Ethnic Russians, about 15%, more European features. And also many other ethnicities. Uzbeks, Ukrainians, Germans, Koreans, Armenians, Tatars, Azeris, and as I said, many more. 130, that's a lot. So basically you can meet two people from Kazakhstan that look nothing alike, but they're both Kazakhstanis. Question number 4. ¿Qué comes en Kazajistán? What do you eat in Kazakhstan? This one comes up a lot and I totally get it. Food is such a big part of any culture. In recent years, like in many countries, global food culture has become very accessible in Kazakhstan. So yes, pizza, pasta, sushi, burgers, and of course big international food chains, all of that is super easy to find in Kazakhstan, especially if you are in a larger city like Almaty or Astana. So if you're visiting, for example, you'll have absolutely no problems finding anything that you would normally find in Madrid or Barcelona. But naturally, there's also traditional Kazakh cuisine, and it's really good. Some typical Kazakh ethnic dishes include beshbarmak, our national dish, which is made of boiled meat, often horse or lamb, and it's served with flat noodles. Baursaki, delicious. Fried dough balls, usually served with tea. Kumis, fermented mare's milk, a traditional nomadic drink. And then there's a wide range of Central Asian and post-Soviet dishes that are super common and loved all across the country. For example, plov, shashlik, borscht, pelmeni, Olivier salad. Food in Kazakhstan is a delicious mix of tradition, regional flavors, and international hits. Next question. ¿A qué hora coméis ahí? At what time do you eat? And this is where Kazakhstan and Spain really differ. In Spain, there are usually times, like the normal times to have breakfast, lunch, or dinner. In Spain, you'll have your breakfast around 9 usually, lunch at around 2, sometimes even 3, and dinner, don't get me started on that. That's probably the hardest thing for anybody who comes to live in Spain to adapt to, because dinners here are very late. Often starting at 9, at the very least at 8, and going all the way up to 10, and sometimes I've even had dinners at 11. Crazy schedules. In Kazakhstan, meal times are usually more flexible. People eat based on work or family rhythms rather than tradition. We don't have a tradition of sobremesa like here in Spain, but we do drink tea. Lots of tea. We drink tea not only as a dessert or to accompany the dessert, which is usually how tea is consumed here, right? It's served at the end of the meal along with coffee. In Kazakhstan, we use tea to accompany our main meal. For example, I'm having my pizza and sipping on a cup of hot tea. That's totally normal, like you would with water. And if you get invited to drink some tea by a person in Kazakhstan, be prepared because you're probably going to be stuffed with a bunch of dulces. It's not going to be just tea. When we say, let's go have some tea, that means dulces. Lots of dulces. Next question. ¿Qué tiempo hace en Kazajistán? What's the weather like in Kazakhstan? Ah, the weather. Let me just say that if you live in Kazakhstan, your closet needs to be ready for pretty much anything, from thick winter coats to full-on ropa de playa. Kazakhstan is massive, and we have extreme continental climate, which means very hot summers and very cold winters. Here are some real stats. Hottest temperatures can go up to plus 45 Celsius, which in Fahrenheit is 113, while the coldest temperatures can drop down to minus 57 Celsius, minus 70 Fahrenheit. This extreme temperature was recorded in the northeast, near Astana. So yeah, as I said, your wardrobe needs to be diverse, ranging from Arctic style jackets to flip-flops and sunscreen. I've lived in both extremes, bone-chilling cold winters when your eyelashes get frozen in seconds, and blazing hot summers when temperatures can get higher than in Spain. I definitely do remember traveling back to Kazakhstan in the summer a few times in the past and getting amazed at how hot it was in comparison to Spain. So I hope that you found this video curious and interesting and maybe even learned some Spanish along the way. Spain is now my home equally to Kazakhstan, and I'm always super happy to share facts about my home country with the locals here. I'll see you in the next one.